some would say that the NDA is in a terminal decline. They started off at something like 23 partners, and now they are down to less than 10, if I'm not incorrect. So is the BJP being seen more as a liability to its partners now?
Yes, I think it is. See, the NDA came into being at a time when the BJP was seen as a party on the ascendant. More importantly, the Congress was seen as a party in terminal decline. And the feeling was that since there is no other party with the kind of national reach that the Congress has, the BJP would be the replacement of choice, as it were. And hence, people were latching on to the BJP as a passport to a bright future. The results of 2004, I think, fundamentally challenged that assumption. A, it became clear that it's not necessary that the Congress keeps declining, and B, that it's not necessary that if the Congress does decline, it will be the BJP which replaces it. And all that's happened since 2004 has actually repeatedly underlined the inability of the BJP to come up with any vision, any program which can help it, really grow rapidly. Time after time, in states where the Congress has appeared to be floundering, Delhi being one very good example, the BJP has simply failed to cash in on the opportunity. So I think increasingly the allies are beginning to re-examine their options, and they realize that they would rather not commit themselves to anything before the election.
So the BJP is in a way doing a congress on its allies.
Yes, in many ways.
Okay, now coming to the other large alliance, though both the UPA and the NDA would not like to call it a large alliance, but we do have the third front, and it is a reality, however in denial the other two formations might be in. How do you see the third front? We have experience of the third front actually governing this country. There have been other attempts to put together. We have one more now. Do you see the third front as a serious challenger for power after the next elections?
Oh yes. As I said at the beginning, when you were asking me whether you agree with the assessment that Manmohan is the most likely, I think if you were a betting man, it would be safe to bet on somebody other than Manmohan and Advani being Prime Minister. And the reason for that is that the third front may consist of a certain number of parties today, but potentially the third front is essentially everybody except the Congress and the BJP and perhaps the Shiv Sena. So, I mean, they have all been part of a third front combination in the past. The Akalis have been part of such an arrangement. The DMK has been part of such an arrangement. Nitish Kumar has been part of such an arrangement. You think of any of them, they've all been part of it.
So they're all natural allies of the third front?
Yes, they are in a sense. I mean, if you look at it from their point of view, would they rather be at the mercy of a Congress or a BJP, or dealing with other parties which are in some sense equal to them? Clearly, anybody would prefer to be in a situation where he is equal to the others rather than small adjunct to a large party.
And how important do you see the left in the third front, and also how much of an impact does their positions have on what the third front would stand for, at least post-election?
I think the left is important in the sense that it is because the left is a much more principled formation than most others. Therefore, there is a certain predictability to what the left will or will not do. And there are certain things the left will not do. It will not form a government with the BJP, for instance. That makes...
It's also said that it will not support a Congress government.
Exactly. It has said it will not support a Congress government, though that perhaps is not as much of a Lakshman Rekha as, say, supporting a BJP government would be. It's unlikely that they will support a Congress government, but it's it's not beyond the realms of possibility, unlike they're supporting a BJP government. But because the left, you know where the left stands, you know what it stands for, it makes it possible for other parties to cluster around the left. I think in the absence of the left, there really would not have been a third front.
And at the level of ideas, do you see the left sort of getting a stronger foothold, especially in the context of the global meltdown, when the left is one formation which can say, "We told you so"?
Well, at a popular level, I can see the left gaining a stronger foothold. Whether that will translate into anything material in terms of what the third front does, I'm not so sure.
What about the BSP? How well do you think they are going to do? How well won in UP? And do you see them actually getting any significant number of seats outside UP?
I think they'll do quite well in UP. Perhaps not as well as they did in the assembly elections.
So not 40 seats?
Maybe not 40 seats, maybe 30 to 35 seats in UP. Particularly since the Congress-SP alliance doesn't seem to be working out. Beyond UP, I think the two states where they're most likely to make some impact would be Madhya Pradesh. In the northern districts of Madhya Pradesh, the Bundelkhand belt and the Bhind-Morena-Guna belt, where they did very well in the assembly elections. In some districts, they pushed the Congress into third place. In some districts, they pushed the BJP into third place. So that is a belt where they could possibly win a seat or two. They could possibly again in Rajasthan win a seat. Whether they actually do is difficult
not
to say.
A very large
not
number
a very large
outside.
Number. No. Outside of Uttar Pradesh, I don't think they would be in their most optimistic projections expecting.
Any states other than UP which you think will be voting very differently from the way they voted in 2004? Tamil Nadu,
I would think, is a definite possibility, particularly if the PMK ultimately goes over to the
Andhra,
definitely. Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Jharkhand, I think will vote very differently. The UPA swept it last time. I think they will really struggle.
So all
this time.
three actually go against the UPA.
All of them.
Tamil Nadu, Jharkhand, and AP.
Absolutely.
And they don't have a state which will sort of compensate for that.
Well, they have several states where they can
bits and pieces, but
not.
Not
they can gain in Madhya Pradesh, for instance, where they won only 4 seats last time out of the 29. I think in Chhattisgarh they won 2 out of 11. So in Rajasthan, where again they won 4 out of 25 seats. These are states where I suspect they will make
some gains.
Which, and in Kerala possibly they'll make some gains. I mean, in fact, they're bound to make some gains. After all, they got nothing last time.
Got zero last time.
Yeah. So, all of this could to some extent compensate for the losses in these 3 states. Which means really that some UPA seats are going away to the third front. The UPA is compensating for those by winning some seats away from the NDA. So the net loser really is the NDA.
Okay, rounding up what's been a very interesting sort of attempt at trying to unravel, in many ways, the unravelable. Last words, you're betting on the third front?
Yes, I am.
To make form the next government?
Yes, I think they are the front runners, followed by the UPA, and I would be willing to bet that the NDA will not form the government.
Thank you, Shankar. And as the elections unravel, there are going to be many more new insights that will come into the discussion. So as they say, watch this space. Thank you.